Thank you very much. Thank you everyone to join me for this an interesting webinar. We will be talking about using AI to fetch raw data and Python. My name is Ralph from support and technical support at Matomo, and really looking forward to explain how it works and giving you some real examples of customers who are using that as well. Okay, so just to start, just why do you need to use AI for API calls? Why can't you just use a simple browser or a Postman or anything like that? The answer for that is pretty much with the data set size, and it's easy to fetch some data use the API calls for very small data sets, but when things get really large, it's getting really hard just to manage, and especially the API calls as well. Using a Python script is a lot easier just to understand what has been sent in a config file. So we'll obviously cover all of that very soon. With Python, there is no data set limitations, and this is very easy to create a config file, and you can actually manage. You can even just create different config files for a specific types of application that you do. In this webinar, we're talking about the Live.getLastVisitsDetails. So what is that? It's basically a method that's an API method that retrieves raw data. So I will explain and visually as well what it looks like and what sort of information we can get. But basically, it's everything that has been tracked will be kept in the raw data. So it's a very richer data, and that's why we recommend for some types of applications just to retrieve just the raw data. In cloud, there is limitation of 2 years historical data. On premise, you use an infinite, so it depends how you set it up. And if you go to this develop.matomo.org, there's a FAQ you should be able to see here, if I'm correct. This one here. So, and it explains how the module live works. Most interesting is actually the examples here. So you can actually extract data from XML, JSON file, or CSV or Excel CSV. And so just clicking here, for instance, you just get in JSON, and you can just see the actual data. So it's worth mentioning that here, clicking on the example, you see at the bottom token underscore auth equals to anonymous. For this is the demo.matomo.cloud. For the demo account, that's no problem. You can just do that. But if you're just retrieving data from other accounts, you might actually have to have an auth token. So to do that, you will need to go to the admin. This is my local test account. You need to go to admin, then security, and at the bottom, you just create a new token. So once you create a token, you have to have a password. I'm not sure if or rather not doing that, but we've created, enter the password, create a token. The token will be visible once, and you have to save this token. So that's how normally anyone would be able to actually just produce an API report from that. So he's just using the anonymous basically for the demo one. Moving on, so we use actually we'll see some examples of the AI. In this case, will be the ChatGPT just generating Python script. We'll will use a Python interpreter, which is already set up on my machine. And as I said, so everything will be just primarily just used from there. So again, so why are you using AI for API calls? So data size, um, it it's harder to obviously just to. I think I just went to there we go. So sorry about that. The API reporting limitations. So why are we doing this? This because the API just has got lots of limitations in terms of data size, especially. And once we use the API calls for the demo, for instance, the limit of rows that is by default set is 100 rows, which is truly speaking is not much anyway. So we use the filter limit to increase that we can actually increase up to 10,000. And the data set that you require is much larger than that. You would have to keep offsetting it. So Matomo would retrieve 10,000 rows at a time, and you have to offset, or meaning tell Matomo that now I need to know the next data from 10,001. So it will be from 10,001 to 20,000 basically, and you keep just doing that until you retrieve the total amount of data you require. Obviously, this is very laborious, and that is one of the limitations. And if you try to do that in the browser, for instance, it's likely that a browser would actually crash as well, because it's a very slow process as well. So it's not a very productive way of doing it. The advantage of the scripts is, as I said, like you can manage data sets more efficiently. So a Python script would actually be able to gather all the API calls and put everything into one data set. Basically, that's a lot easier. It manages larger data sets, like hundreds of megabytes, and it can produce for outputs in whatever format you need, CSV, JSON, HTML, and etc. So it's very dynamic, very flexible. And Python itself, this is the actual, I asked ChatGPT, why is Python so efficient in terms of data handling? And this is the answer, basically. And it's quite a thorough answer. I actually just copy and paste this part of it, because ChatGPT gave a very good, thorough interpretation of how it actually is done. And one of the biggest thing is memory management. So that's very interesting, the fact that Python doesn't allow, and I'll actually check that in monitoring the memory and network. You could see that not a lot of memory or even just network has been used, so which was quite interesting. The lazy evaluation, efficient data structures. So there's a lot of different types of data structures as well, which is quite impressive. Parallel processing, data compression, and all of that. So it's just really a bunch of very clever ways of processing and retrieving data. So it's no wonder that Python is actually known for data scientists, and a lot of people in the market is using it. Everyone knows that, but it's very important to reiterate that AI accuracy, AI is just like humans, right? So we are not fault-free, so we actually produce, we made mistakes, we produce wrong type of codes and etc. And AI also can actually do that. So we can make sure that we need to check the data, we need to check with the spreadsheets and all of that, because there are some certain circumstances, some situations that the actual what has been requested is not produced the way that you expect. And the possibly the best strategy to use with AI, at least for in the beginning, is to start small. Just get a smaller sample so that you can actually be able to compare with Matomo, for instance, on Matomo reports. and you see if the data matches. So first steps, as I showed already previously, you can just click on that, and you need to think about your token, if it's correct. If you go to the segmentation, which is, oops, go back one. So the API segmentation guide is very thorough. It's very interesting just to get to know. For this type of operation, you would definitely need to get used to at least some of the information from this guide to be able to create more thorough sort of implementation in terms of filtering. So segments is filtering data. So it's possible to filter data by those dimensions, which is quite a comprehensive list. You can see that it's quite a lot. So you don't have to know by heart everything. It's the opposite. This is a reference, right? So you can just come here every time you need and check which values that you need to filter out. So different metrics and etc. So it's possible to send empty values. So you're searching for that. It's possible to combine also different types of segments. So here at the beginning, you can see that you can include the or the and operator or both, and that's accepted. So for the or, and I need you to remember that for the future because it will be important. So the or is a comma, and the and is a semicolon. So that's how the Matomo segmentation works. The reply, it looks like something like this. So if we go back to here, where's the and just do a simple one. So this is the visit level. So in where is the FAQ? So in this FAQ, it explains both of the levels. So the first one you can see here, this is consolidated already. So this is the visit level, and there's quite a bit of information here. And this is another visit. This starts another visit, and this one is the action level. So what is an action level? Action level normally is related to a page view. This particular visit is not a good one for that example. Let's see if you can find something a little bit larger. Okay, this is a little bit better. So this visit had two page views. So the Divers a mirror live boat review and the best dive sites in Roger and Pat. So this person was clearly searching for places to go and dive. So let's see if I can find another visit with more information, because there are lots of information that can actually be stored, for instance, like events, e-commerce, etc., etc. So it would be nice if I could actually find something easily here, but if I take too long, there we go. This one seems to be a little bit more. But they're all just actions, so it's just the URL. But you got the idea. So you see that this FAQ just shows more in details what you expect from actually the data. Moving on, we are going to now try with ChatGPT and test how it works. So that's just a hands-on sort of exercise with ChatGPT. And the first thing we should be doing is actually to create the first step, which is creating the Python script. So this is what is written here. And using the Live.getDetails method, using the config.ini, so it created a config.ini file that would actually keep some of the parameters, right? So this is what I want to copy and paste and use that in ChatGPT. You see that we produce the config files. It will actually like Python would likely to have some dependencies, so ChatGPT will show some stuff. It will at this stage just only show the 100 rows. I'm just doing this on purpose, just for the sake of actually explaining the step-by-step how it works. The script should return some data, and so I'd like to just see how it goes. So hide this one. So I've got here. I've got this is exactly what it was written in the first slide for the using AI. So let's just see how it goes. What ChatGPT does. It's interesting to note that how fast it does reply and give some information. So already you see that the config.ini, the file has been created, and so I can set up the day, the period, and then etc. So let's see what else it does. So that's the code, and then here it will explain what to do, what are the steps to take, and it also refers to how to run the actual script. So there's no dependency here this time, so that doesn't say anything about that. So the next step I would do is actually run the S code. I am already in the correct folder. I can just come here and create the first Python script. So first script, actually better just to put like is script.01.py. So it knows already there is a Python script. I can just save. So I've copied and I'm saving it. And now I need to add the config. And also I'm just going to copy and paste it. So this is not a correct endpoint. I just would like to have the actual demo. There we go. Let's see how it works. And I believe it will be set to, oops, by the typo. Let's see if it works. So next thing I need to do is to run the terminal. So it should be on the same, yeah, so it should be on the same. On the same folder, and then just to run script 0.py and see what happens. Oops. I made a mistake, I guess. Let me see what I've done. Oh, obviously. So there we go. So this is a normal thing. So the beauty of having a config.ini is you can just change it and then just run again and see if it works. There we go. So now we can see that some data has been retrieved, so we know it's actually working. It doesn't actually matter at this stage to know if the data is correct or not, because we're just starting the process. So the reason why I put incrementally is it's important to explain that if I add if I tell ChatGPT that I want to have a script with all the steps that I will show in the next few minutes, it's likely that ChatGPT will not understand very well because it needs to be more incremental. You need to actually just go step by step and just show that's what you're doing basically, what you're trying to do. If you put a lot of stuff that ChatGPT is unlikely to provide. I've tried it a few times. Maybe someone can just get lucky and put all the requests, but I haven't tried it before and it actually doesn't work very well. So the next step is to use the filter limits we have spoken about. So at this stage, the Python code only only returns 100 rows, and it's obviously something far from what we need, and we need to actually just give more flexibility. So the next step is to do this, to add this use filter limit requests. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and then just continue on the same chat. This is called a chat. What we're doing. So I'm just creating another command here for ChatGPT. So it understands the Live.getLastVisitsDetails, accepts the filter limit and the filter offset, and then produces a script. And I see here there is something, and I did on purpose, there is something that is missing. I'm just waiting for that for the script to finish. There we go. It's very similar. Okay, so it's very similar to what it was. Obviously, it does have the filter limit and offset, but this is not what I want. So one of the advantages of having the config.ini is the fact that you have control. You know exactly what has been called. And in this case, I haven't actually added the both filter limit and filter offset, which actually should have been added here. So this was on purpose. So what we're going to do is we're going to the next slide and then request ChatGPT to add the config.ini, add those two parameters to the config.ini file. So we go there. So once again, continue the chat, and this time around, just say I need the filter limit and filter offset to be added to config.ini. So I think that is very clear to ChatGPT, saying that instead of having the both parameters here in the code, now you can see that ChatGPT added to the config.ini file, and we again where we need to. And it generates both config and the Python script. So I just prefer to create a new file this time around, script-02.py. It will be calling the same, oops, not this one. It will be calling exactly the same config.ini file. There we go. And now I need to update the config.ini itself. Okay, can just do this actually. Okay, so no need, it's already there. Site ID, that's good. Period day, that, and filter limit. So this time I just want to go for 1,000 and just save it and see what happens. So we are on the config.ini2 and have an error. So something here, most recent calls, blah, 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 blah. So I normally just, when I do have a problem, what I do, and I'm actually happy this happens. So what I do is I'll tell ChatGPT, I got the following error. Oops. It's oh, okay. Sorry, it's just doing something. Hang on. And then I can just add the error. So while I was testing the webinar, I had some errors as well before, and I just basically tapped this, and ChatGPT can actually just change it. So let's see what you say. So let's see what happens. So I believe that ChatGPT didn't actually understood really correct what I said. So let's just see. So there's no need for the actual new version of a config.ini, because that's not a problem. So what we should be doing here is just I'll create a new file. So with the changes, and hopefully they will work. And just see here, Python 3. It's taking a little bit. So I was wondering if that is fetching some data or not from Matomo. While we wait, I'll just continue the. I'm assuming that is actually working. So then we have then created the added those two to the config.ini. So we should be ready for the next step. So I requested fetching 1,000 rows, and maybe it was actually taking, maybe still taking some time. Oh, he's still giving me. Oh, it's still fetching it. It looks like so. It should not take too long, but it's definitely just fetching a lot more data than it was in the previous call anyway. For fetching large data sets, it can be challenging. So pretty much for this reason. So sometimes is a lot more helpful just to have a smaller data set, but it's also really good to have a feedback system. So it's sending messages in the UI, so you can just see what is actually happening, what's happening. So what we would like to do now is basically add this. Oh, hang on, there we go. So creating the feedback showing how much data has been fetched. I think that is a good way of going forward. So if you're just retrieving, let's say, thousands and thousands of data, you can actually just know that the script is still working. There we go. So the thousand rows that have been requested finally got here, but it took a while. So it's always good to actually just have a way of let's Python tell you that the script's still working, but it's taking too long because of it's fetching a lot of data. So let's see if it's already just created that. Yeah, okay. So there we go, and just create another script for .py. save that, and let's see what it does. There we go. So it's interesting also to know when this script started, so you can have a timestamp. It's very useful to know how long, if you are, for instance, fetching a million rows, you could start with just 1,000 and see just to fetch to assess how long would actually it take. So you can just leave it running and then do whatever you need to do extra in parallel anyway. So you see this is telling all the steps anyway. So that's very handy. The next step, why is working, it's obviously it's important not to see the data in the screen, but actually just to save that to a CSV file, right? So this is very, and in this case, it's really good to have a date and timestamp, so you can actually just run the file, so the script very many times, and you will actually produce different CSV files. And also for the sake of reducing limiting the data set for testing, is actually really good to have a maximum number of visits, and that actually have it as a parameter into the config.ini. So I'm here. There we go. So it's done and everything now. So another, oops, it's going too fast. That should work now. So there we go. So I requested to add another parameter. It says exactly what to do. So we need to add the max visit parameter in config.ini and default to the layout. So that's what we should do next. So in this case, I don't need to copy the code. I can just check what are the parameters I need to add to config.ini. So max visits. Let's save this. Let's put in that one, which is easy enough. And then just create another script 05.py with the, if you finished, I still haven't finished. There we go. Just about. And I can just paste it. And this time, I just want to limit to, let's say, 500 is fine. That's not a problem. And then I should be able to run it now. 5, and then there we go. That should go a lot faster than the last one. There we go. So you see, and you created a file, a response, and then 2024, 11/14, and then the timestamp. So we go to the next slide. One of the very overlooked points is actually just to save error messages into a file if there is any issue, right? So that actually can happen a lot, and it's really handy to create an error log in case that there are some issues. So this is quite straightforward. We don't actually even need to test that. I just want to send this to ChatGPT, and then we'll update the script with the error log. So I don't need to wait for all of that now. I just, as an example, so we know how it works. You see that all of this actually works correctly. If I, oops, ls.la, so then you can see that I actually created the file correctly. I'm not going to open this because we have limited time, but you see that actually works correctly as expected, right? So just moving on. So the next slide. So the considerations then, basically. You see that he produced rare errors, right? So we've seen it now. Okay, I wasn't expecting this time around, but it actually happens. So if you create the same script many times, you will see them. ChatGPT can actually create different files, different scripts, and sometimes it can actually just create some errors. So you need to be mindful, and if there's any error, you can just ask it to correct. You should be able to do it anyway. And the this file here, let's say the version 5 is the last one, you can save that forever, let's say. So you've got a file that you can actually retrieve a lot of data from whatever instance that you have. So it could be a cloud one, on premise, whatever. You can just configure that, and so you can, instead of day, a day, you can put a month, and so forth, so forth. So it's very powerful, and you can just keep just using it forever, really, basically. And but most importantly, this file number 5 and the config ini, you can actually just use as a starting point for different queries that you need for the future, for instance. So you could actually add that to GPT and say, I've got this script, use this script and this configured on each file, and I want you to do X, Y, Z. So ChatGPT would work really well with that. So it's one of the interesting thing about AI. So it can actually just start from, not from the beginning, from a point that you already done some work. So as this is the reason why I said just save it using different folders. For instance, so you're doing different types of projects. So keep the script of 0.5, let's say, saved, and they use from now on for other projects and interacting with the AI. And keep track of results. Obviously, you always need to actually make sure that the data matches what the information is in Matomo itself. Just a quick case study. So we had a customer recently that needed to produce what they actually started with a custom report, but a custom report will not produce like an infinite list of user IDs as they needed. They actually had like 1,000, well, I guess 100,000 visits a day, something like that. So it was pretty much like really large. So I suggested to actually use raw data, so pretty much the way that we explain here, and to produce a weekly remarketing list, because a lot of their customers, I would say a considerable amount of their customers, left items in the cart and they actually just left. And so what they wanted to do is extract this data. So visitors that actually managed to log in and left certain amounts. So they were not, it depended on the threshold they wanted, like maybe just over $150, something like that, but they need more than just that. So basically, so it's just something that can actually be done with segmentation that has been discussed earlier on. So in where it is. Here it is. So I think if I go for e-commerce, there is a total. There you go. So the status was all not all the abandoned cart for that specific question one, and so e-commerce. I think that I think there is a total somewhere. Um, I cannot remember now. Maybe it's the value or something like that. So, but yes, but they've done a filtering by e-commerce, and basically they got a certain amount, a higher threshold, but the actual they didn't even want to get the very small orders left in the cart. So yes, so you can just use that for e-commerce tracking. So their customers actually left something at it's obviously something that is worth. In that case, it was actually millions of dollars. So if they could actually extract, let's say, 10% of that, they would actually get like a quarter of a million or something like that. So it was very important for them. The most visitors in that specific website, they actually had they knew the user ID, so they actually would be able to track back who left the cart, some items in the cart, and obviously, so we'll manage to get the user list with the SKUs left in the cart, and that information was sent to the digital marketing team. So this is what. There we go. So there we go. So country codes. Okay, so segments has got some parameters. This is what I have described before. So it's possible to use or operator and operator. So in some cases, you can mix both of as well. There's no problem. You get the segment information as in this place in this FAQ that I've shared with you before. So it's just a reference, so you don't need to know exactly all the parameters. But it's a very helpful for to know this specific guide that you can actually just find what information you need to filter out uh, in terms of raw data. Okay, so you can use or and this is an example that how it works. So segment equals to that is the metric, and then this is an or this is and, right? So and the AI tool provided, funny enough, ChatGPT provided the wrong answer in the case when I wanted to actually just segment the cards left in the cart, the items left in the cart, and I have to actually just manually just, correct it or tell GPT that the is incorrect your assumption that you have to always use semicolon. You can use comma for or and semicolon for end. So even then, ChatGPT didn't actually understood correctly all the information that we have in our FAQs and documentation. Just to summarize, so uh, in this case, we were using get last visit details to get raw data, and it's obviously possible to get all the data from different API methods. Okay, so but in this one, it's very powerful because we get raw data and we can actually segment it and we can just filter out what we need to do. If you have any doubt, anything that you're not really quite sure about, because the very extensive sort of documentation anyways, so we are here to help. Just contact support, and we do have regularly some customers is asking for how to use some of the API points and etc. So yeah, just feel free, just contact us. Always double check the data. So that's very important. Don't take for granted. So use the small data sets first for testing, and always check the numbers because that's very important. But in the long run, if you create a Python script that you can actually use for other projects anyway, that would save you a lot of time. That's it for now. So thank you very much for attending the webinar, and I'm just happy to answer any questions. And by the way, if you need to, you can email us to support@matomo.cloud for cloud customers, or hello@matomo.org for on-premise customers.
Thank you very much, Ralph, for this great presentation. Currently, there's no questions within the chat, so I guess the speech was super clear. But I'm going to ask you one question anyway. So first question is, can you hear me properly, Ralph?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. How do you see the adoption from our, let's say, from Matomo users when it comes to the use of ChatGPT, or let's say in what you are showing to us today? How you see the adoption of what you are showing to the end user? Are they using it straight away, or do they need some extra help? Do you have the feeling that they can do it without you if you explain the things clearly to them?
Just to start first with the level of complexity. So this is normally we would normally see technical professionals dealing with that sort of queries, basically, right? So it requires a little bit of technical understanding. It doesn't mean that nobody can do that. Is not true, but whoever is not familiar with API calls or parameters and things like that would be a little bit daunted. It would feel a little bit daunted. That's the first thing. So I would say 70%, let's say, if I could give it an estimation, like is more technical people actually use that sort of sorry, Python and segmentation, all that sort of thing. That's more likely to be technical people. But there are some end users that also immerse themselves to try to learn how to use it. So it's some people just take the challenge. Um, we see that the majority of users that are technical, they can actually do that more often than the end users that has less technical expertise. But we see quite a few customers without high technical expertise. They just are interested to use that because it's very important information for them. At the end of the day, what they need is a specific data for their growth, right? In case of this example I gave of this US customer, they actually needed to extract the information from their abandoned account, which is is worth a lot of money for them. We do have other customers that actually they know that this is a very uh, key information for their business growth. So being technical or not technical is not really a big issue for them if they really want to get the information they need.
Okay. What do you think will be the next step when it comes to AI with Matomo?
The integration would amazing. If we could actually have Matomo Cloud integrated with AI, possibly would be the best scenario for most of the end users because if they don't need to get very technical, if they can just request AI to produce certain reports that the normal Matomo reports cannot provide. That is, that is a game changer, so to say. There is Mistral, right, which you know a lot better than I do, right? So, but this is only for on-premise, and I think that if there is a an integration tool for AI for Matomo Cloud will be just next step definitely.
Perfect. I'm looking into the chat to see if there's no additional questions. Dimitri and Nora is telling you thank you. I would like to say thank you as well to you, Ralph, because that has been your first Matomo camp ever, and you did 2 sessions. So thank you so much for taking
Thank
part
you.
to this event, for accepting to come on stage and to make those great presentations. By the way, we still have 12 minutes left. Are there any questions you would have expected the audience to ask you?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, well, I would have thought that some customers would actually just try to know more in detail some of the technical explanations given, but I understand that it's not everyone's cup of tea, I would say, right? So it's something it's something that we do also have some customers that need help with it, and we've done it before. So I think it's more like a specific question they would actually make. So I will not go there at this stage because I know that can be quite daunting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So next conference is
Thank you.
planned at 3 a.m., 3 p.m. Normally it was supposed to be Mike Harty, but as I messed up the time schedule, or as at least put some confusion within the time schedule, I got in contact with Mike, and we are switching off our conferences. So I was supposed to make a conference about AI at 6 p.m. I will just do it in 10 minutes from now, and Mike will do the conference at 3 p.m. in 3 hours from now. Sorry for this time schedule last minute change. We are doing our best here.
Can I watch yours then?
You can watch mine. You can even decide to stay within this room and on stage even, and ask me question at the end and play the role of moderator if you would like to have kind of role play or whatever. Just
You
yeah,
should
feel
teach
free
me
to.
how to be a moderator.
Well, there's not much to do. It just You know, you switch between eating, between drinking, between moving to another room, and then at some point you just have a light and say, "Oh, he or she just used these words. Can I ask a question then?" Something like this. Okay, so let's have a 10 minutes break and let's see each other in 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you.